Let the beauty of life and all that you witness inspire your choices and the freedom to choose what you desire most. The Wisdom Podcast is birthed out of the Wisdom Blog, a digital healing hub of inspired consciousness, sacred truths, and the divine teachings of authentic power, living one's truth, and spiritual, or as we call it, unconditional love. Many of the topics that I speak about in this podcast arise out of work with clients who have chosen to examine and live their life from a place of self-honesty and truth, and to do the inner work that makes it possible for them to experience authentic happiness easily. The divinely inspired teachings and insight that I share are to help you live consciously aware, to access your own inner wisdom, and to help you make the best choices towards living a limitless potential. Please join me for consciously inspired dialogue, ideas, and new thought paradigms for living an infinitely abundant and love-filled life, here and now. My client, Dina, had been in a serious relationship with Aaron for 8 months. Aaron was widowed and had 2 young children. When she began to date, Dina was excited but cautious. Her previous long-term relationship ended abruptly after 7 years. Her then-fiancé Courtney expressed to her one day that he hadn't been happy for some time, that he had been thinking about the rest of his life and the many experiences that he still wanted to have before settling down and having a family. Dina intuitively felt as though there was more that Courtney wasn't telling her. But in the end, and after several months of being hopeful that they would get back together, Dina realized that Courtney wasn't going to change his mind, that she needed to move on, that the relationship was indeed over. After a prolonged time of intense grieving, Dina decided that a change of scenery would be a good thing for her, and so she left her job to travel for a year in South America. When a love relationship ends, and when the revelation is that our partner no longer wishes to be with us, it often becomes a personal blow to our sense of self. We internalize the ending of a relationship as a loss, as perhaps something that was our fault, and we are often left with unresolved feelings of confusion, disbelief, and sadness. A relationship ending can cause us to doubt our ability to believe that we are desirable and worthy. It also has the potential of highlighting our fragile nature, causing us to examine what aspects of ourselves we may lack confidence in. Therein begins our work, to deepen our knowledge and confidence in who we are and that we are more than enough. Dina blamed herself for Courtney's decision to end the relationship and questioned what she could have done or said that may have caused this. When a love relationship ends despite our will, we might find ourselves deeply shaken. Our confidence in ourselves and in feeling good enough and desirable may be damaged for a time or indefinitely. And we may find ourselves wondering if we will ever find someone again to love us. A relationship can provide merit and the stability that allows us to feel desired and loved. And yet it can also be a distraction from doing the work of loving and accepting ourselves as who we are, as separate and unique from our identity as part of a couple. For most people, their sense of self is enmeshed with their job title, their accomplishments and successes, their socioeconomic status, and quite often on the success of their partner and the accomplishments of their children. It's only when you identify with who you are, as separate from the many roles and titles that you have, and from your relationships and associations with others, that you can truly own and internalize your self-worth and begin to know your authentic self. For Dina and so many like her who have experienced a blow to their confidence and feelings of desirability at the time of a relationship breakup, even if you are the one to initiate this, suggests that you have some unfinished work to do towards developing a healthy and autonomous sense of self. Starting a new relationship doesn't solve the quest of feeling confident and self-assured. Taking the time when you are newly single to develop a relationship with yourself, to learn about who you are at this time and place in your life, and to deepen your confidence in being desirable and good enough for yourself, means that when you are ready to step into the next relationship, you will be self-assured and certain of what you want and what you are not willing to settle for. Your relationship should never define how you feel about yourself or if you are good enough. A few months into her travels abroad, Dina met Aaron. It wasn't long before they began dating exclusively and were in love. When Dina's travel visa expired and she was required to return home, she became overwhelmed with feelings of insecurity, self-doubt, and fear. She had convinced herself that Aaron would forget about her and move on to someone new, since they would need to continue in their relationship from a distance, and for an indefinite period of time until she could acquire a new visa. Throughout life, we are given replete opportunities to face our insecurities and fears. We can choose to face these with a deep breath, guided by our inner knowing and our deepest desires of how we want to be, and embrace the challenge before us, knowing that to do so means that we will have a different outcome, simply by our choice to react, to go after what we want, rather than convince ourselves that we are not capable, not able. To help us with this, it is important and in fact critical that we do the inner work of growing our confidence, of building our sense of self, our feelings of being self-assured in who we are. Without inner self-confidence, we will continue to rely on others to help us feel better about ourselves, to validate that we are good enough and deserving, rather than relying on our own belief and the self-knowledge, the knowing that we are indeed more than enough and worthy. Belief and knowledge come from the practice of relying on ourself for feelings of confidence and self-esteem, of being autonomous, able to take care of our needs on our own, and because we have taken the necessary steps to overcome whatever setback or loss we might have experienced with dignity and self-comforting words. We choose our forward movement in a direction that we desire with positive feelings and the inertia to take care of our own needs and to never give up on ourselves. If we rely on others for external feedback to remind us that we are desirable and good enough, then we will be vulnerable and dependent on a source outside of ourselves, a source that we can never fully expect to provide us with accolades, encouragement, and love in the ways or distinct timing that we would need it. Rather than rely on another person or a love relationship for your positive feelings of self-worth, ask yourself the following reflective questions as a way of determining how much confidence and esteem you hold that is based on your belief of who you are, rather than on how others see or value you. The first question: what are the qualities that I value most about myself? Think about attributes, your personality traits, your strengths, and what you believe in. Second, ask what causes me to feel less desirable or unworthy. And finally, what can I do for myself in these situations or moments to acknowledge my worthiness and value, and to uphold my confidence and self-worth? These questions are definitely worth the investment of time that you give them. Once you have your answers, keep them close at hand to remind you of where your confidence and worth originate within you. If your confidence feels shaken from the ending of a love relationship, rather than jump immediately back into the dating world, even though you may think that doing so can help boost your feelings about yourself, remember that this very action is an example of looking externally to be validated. Beginning a new relationship before you build confidence in yourself keeps you feeling vulnerable, overly sensitive to what others say and do, and it sets you up for feeling judged or rejected when others do not provide you with what you are in search of, which is approval, acceptance, and love. Instead, take this time outside of being in a relationship to look with honesty at where you feel a lack of confidence. Make it a priority to know yourself better and to ask the important questions, such as the ones I mentioned earlier, that will help you look within for building your confidence and sense of self, and to ultimately know yourself better in order to be able to give yourself what you need, rather than rely on others for this. When you are newly single, it is perhaps one of the best times to re-examine your path in life and what you truly want. You also need to look a little deeper to become more self-focused rather than looking at others for what you think you should be doing and having. To know yourself is to deepen your understanding and knowledge of who you are and what is most important to you. This is how you become a stronger, more confident version of yourself. When you begin to make yourself a priority and you invest quality time being in your own company, you come to know yourself better. You also begin to rely on yourself and your abilities for feeling accomplished and successful, since doing for yourself what allows you to feel happy is one of the most rewarding ways to build self-worth This and the positive feelings that flow naturally from reveling in your personal accomplishments and successes. Begin to adopt an outlook of seeing any setbacks, disappointment, and rejection as opportunities for becoming more and for examining what you need to change and improve upon, and not for anyone else, but yourself. This allows your perspective of life to be one of optimism and of allowing, rather than resisting all that happens to you, and to revel in life's moments, to reveal ways that can help you to become more confident and self-assured. You can always assess what doesn't go your way, to consider whether you need to take a different path to attain your goals, or if perhaps what you want is something different. For Dina, this meant examining some of the core beliefs that she held about herself, particularly as it related to her feelings of desirability and attractiveness, which, as she admitted to me, were aspects of herself that she had always felt less confident about. Dina and I also challenged her core belief that she was not enough for someone to want to be with her forever. And I showed her how to come up with accurate and positive evidence for how the opposite was in fact true. When you examine the origin of your core beliefs, you understand how the real-life events you have witnessed and experienced have set the stage for what you believe, and also what reinforces your insecurities and fears. With some help to strengthen the new core beliefs that Dina identified, she began to feel a growing confidence in her worthiness, and far less fearful if a future relationship were to end. Your learned beliefs originate from earlier life experiences, what you have been witness to in your environment, including the spoken and unspoken messages you were given throughout childhood, and what you tell yourself currently and believe. Know that in life you will continually be given experiences that will challenge your core beliefs, revealing what you need to examine more closely to build greater confidence in. See these experiences as opportunities to grow stronger, because this is what they are. Most important to remember is that you can always increase your self-confidence. Determine your self-esteem and self-worth by how much you are willing to know yourself and to make improvements and changes based on what you desire. The more that you live in alignment with your highest potential, doing what is right and best for you, the more you will appreciate and value yourself. Dina needed to believe in her own desirability and attractiveness first, in order to feel confident in what she could offer someone as a life partner. Dina and I worked on developing and believing in her new core beliefs based on specific strategies I showed her. As she began to acknowledge and recognize her value based on who she already was, and in believing that she was more than good enough as a life partner and mate, Dina felt her confidence grow. As I showed Dina how to challenge her self-doubts and the critical thoughts that would still on occasion creep into her mind, causing her to question herself, Dina began to look for and find much evidence and proof that she was indeed desirable and worthy of having a long-term relationship, wholly and completely, and for as long as she chose. With a little help, she began rewriting the old insecure narratives that she had been telling herself for so long. The ending of a love relationship may rattle our confidence for a short time, and it's also possible that we will never really know the whole truth about why someone has chosen to end things with us. What is even more important is that you understand your worth, that relationships begin and end, but that your responsibility to yourself is always to believe in your worth, your value, first and foremost, and to deepen this belief through positive action, through the ongoing and repetitive dialogue that reminds you of all that you are capable and deserving of, and to know that it is always within your power and your sacred right to improve, to grow, to enhance who you are because of your desire to do so. If you enter into a new relationship continuing to doubt your worthiness, to feel less than secure in who you are, to question your desirability and attractiveness, to be fearful of not being enough, then you will not attract the kind of partner that you truly want. It matters first that you feel secure in who you are and confident in your value and worth. This is often the work of challenging problematic core beliefs that may be holding you back from feeling the confidence and self-worth that you deserve to feel. It may be time that you free yourself of any insecurities that have kept you from finding the right partner, and for feeling and knowing that you are deserving of much unconditional love. And if you would like my help in doing this, please reach out to me. The name of my client and others have been changed to maintain confidentiality. Additional details or circumstances may also have been altered in order to ensure their utmost privacy. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of the Wisdom Podcast. To hear more, please check out the other episodes here, and then join me at dorothyratusny.com, where you can share your questions and feedback from this or any episode with me, and where you'll also find the Wisdom Blog, the latest online courses that I teach, my YouTube videos, and an extensive library of free guided meditations for you to experience and enjoy, plus many other special offerings of love. Please also visit me on social media and say hello. Allow yourself to go within, to access your inner wisdom and to live it. Awaken your authentic power, live your truth, and be love. Live your best life now. In peace, gratitude, and love, this is Dorothy Ratusny. Sat Nam. Namaste.